The out-of-body experience. Join Robert Peterson on a journey beyond the physical realm. Explore the science, the stories, and the possibilities of consciousness unbound. This is the Gathering Paracast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Gathering Paracast here on the Cryptovania Network. My name is Heidi.
And I'm Stephanie. And welcome in. We have our special guest back in the house, Bob Peterson. Hi, Bob. Welcome in.
Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Heidi. How are you guys doing?
We are good. Excited to have you back.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to be back. Coming to you live from sunny Florida.
Yes, you are. And I think we're about the same temperature here in sunny Minnesota.
Yeah, I heard you guys were in the 80s, and that just amazes me. We've been pretty hot down here for the most part. So, been in the 90s, but it's all good.
Yeah, well, can't do anything about it. So,
Yeah.
So we had you on a few months ago, and we were excited to have you back because I think we were just going on and on about all these things that we wanted to talk to you about, and we ran out of time. So we said we had to get you back.
Yeah, and I don't even remember where we left it and what we were talking about last time because it's been a while. But
Yeah.
But
I can. Pardon?
Oh no, I was just going to say we always have good things to ask you about and talk about anyway. So I'm sure the same thing will happen today.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I can start by telling you some of the things that have been happening to me while since we talked last.
Sure.
One of the big things that's happened in my life is they strong-armed me into becoming president of WLOV, the Writers League of the Villages. The Villages is like the world's largest retirement community, and there's like more than 150,000 people down here, most of whom are 55 plus. And it spans 3 counties in Florida. It doesn't take up all 3 of them, but it spans 3 of them. So the Writers League is a fairly big organization, and their president kind of abdicated, and they talked me into taking her place. So that's taken up a lot of my time now. I've been scheduling meetings and doing all kinds of things like that, meeting minutes and agendas and sending out invitations and welcoming new members and all of this stuff. And so I'm also hosting a master class on writing. I'm not doing the teaching of the class, but I'm hosting it. And what it is I don't know if people know about this, but there's a couple of professional organizations that teach classes. One of them is Great Courses. And the Great Courses, you can go out there and find classes on just about everything. And then there's another one called Master Class. And they're very similar, really, that you pay for a subscription. Usually you pay for the classes. And the Writers League has paid for a whole bunch of different writing classes. And these are like famous professional writers like David Baldacci and Dan Brown, and people like that, James Scott Bell. And they're giving advice to new writers, basically, or people who want to be in the writing business. And so it's very fascinating. But I've been doing that. We do that class like every Thursday, and I'm hosting that. So it's getting to be a lot of work, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm learning.
Congratulations.
I'm learning at the same time, about writing too, even though I've done 6 books now. But I'm still learning. We're all still learning, so it's all good.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like a great opportunity to meet with some very accomplished writers. So that's
a lot of very, and I've also I'm in a writing critique group, and so this critique group, like one of them was it's like every Wednesday, and there was, let me think, there was about 25 people there today, and we take turns writing what we've written. And so anyway, I've been working on trying to finish up a short story called The Ferryman, and it has the same lead character as my most recent book, the novel Windwalker, and it has to do with basically a 14-year-old girl who's half Caucasian and half Ojibwe Indian. And of course, I grew up in Minnesota, and that's the land of the Ojibwe, you know. And and I honestly, I have no idea where this book came from. You know, it's not like I was planning to write it or anything. It just kind of kept coming to me and kept coming to me. And I don't know where the story came from or anything, but the girl, of course, ends up having some out-of-body experiences in astral projection, and she witnesses a murder and all of this stuff. So anyway, I wrote a short story about that and presented that at the writing class today. And so anyway, that's what I've been up to. And I don't know, I've been still trying to work on my blog, although I don't seem to find as much time as I like to write or to read books. I've been trying to work on, I do these out-of-body and astral projection book reviews. And I've been doing them now. Well, my blog is probably more than 12 years. I've been doing it for 12 years. You can believe that. And so I've got a lot of book reviews out there, more than 100 books I've reviewed, probably getting close to 150 books that I've reviewed out there on astral projection. And so anyway, that keeps me busy too when I can find time to read, and then I'll put one of those out. But yeah, I got a lot of irons in the fire. You should.
No kidding.
You know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you.
I was just going to say that. That's such a Minnesota thing. I know.
Well,
it's hard, right? It's hard to find time.
Yeah, and I want to, and like I said, this Windwalker book I wrote, it just kind of came to me, and I could easily believe that it was almost like it was channeled, because I just kept getting the information coming to me, and it's like I had to write it down. It's like. You know, it's like it came to me, and it wouldn't leave me alone. The story wouldn't leave me alone till I got it down in the computer on paper and all of that, and it just kept flowing until it was done. And now I've been trying to find an Ojibwe speaker who can narrate it for an audiobook, and you know that's a very difficult thing to do. There aren't very many people who speak Ojibwe or whatever that are also willing to do audiobooks, you know, and have the recording equipment and all of that. I found a couple of them, and, you know, they hadn't done a book in more than 10 years, and they kind of dropped off the planet. And I wanted a female to narrate the book, because a lot of the characters in the book are you know, women or girls. And the protagonist is a girl. So anyway, yeah, trying to find an Ojibwe narrator is just about impossible. And I've gone through a lot of channels, tried to contact a lot of people, friends of friends, friends in the tribe, and yeah, just had no luck at all.
Huh. Well, here's to finding your narrator. We'll send good energy for you to find someone.
Anyway, it's fun, and I think I told you last time that I had retired now from my day job, and I'm finally old enough to qualify for Medicare and all of that stuff, which I just started this month. And so my writing time and working on, I've got a sequel I've been working on to Hacking the Out-of-Body Experience, right? I've been kind of working on a sequel on and off, but the problem is it seems like so much work. I mean, I put so many hours in on that book, and I've collected a lot of stuff, and it needs to be organized and everything. And it's like, when am I going to find the time to do this? But my intent is eventually to put out a sequel, and tentatively called More Hacking Tips or something like that. Anyway, a similar title and a similar cover and all of that. But anyway, so that's in the works. But first, I got to find the time to do all of that.
Well,
yes,
you're busy. So that's, and probably a good thing you don't work full time anymore, because you wouldn't have any time to do all this other stuff that you're doing. But talking about out-of-body experience, we have someone in the chat who it looks like they're new to you and what you do. And they're saying, so you do out-of-body experiences, which yes, you do. You wrote a book about how to do it.
Yeah, I've actually written 3 books on the subject. My first book was Out-of-Body Experiences, How to Have Them and What to Expect. And that book talked about how I got into this crazy topic and how it kind of, I don't know, I started having my own out-of-body experiences and learning how to do it because I didn't trust, you know, secondhand information. I needed to have that firsthand knowledge. I had to have personal experience because otherwise, if you don't have that personal experience, it's easy to write it off as, it was just a dream, or he was, vividly dreaming, or it was a lucid dream, whatever. And it's not until you actually have the experience you realize how real it really is. And it's just very convincing, very in your face. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote my first book, How to Have Them, Out-of-Body Experiences, How to Have Them and What to Expect. And that was actually gained a lot of popularity. It was published in several languages besides English. It was in Russian, German, Japanese, and whatnot. And then a couple of years later, that was 1997 that was published. And then a couple of years later, in 2001, I think it was, my second book, Lessons Out of the Body, came out. And that was more of a spiritual approach because the first book was very scientific because I'm a very science-oriented guy. And so anyway, so the second book is more about how can you, what good are they from a spiritual point of view? It has more of a spiritual aspect to it, what you can do with these experiences, what you can learn from them, and what you can learn about the afterlife and ourselves and lessons and all of that. And so that was the second book. And then I wrote a couple other books that were not related to OBEs. And then my latest one is the one I had before here, the Hacking the Out-of-Body Experience. And that's sold very well. A lot of people have given me a good feedback on that. And I go deep into the neuroscience. I talk about, the brain and neuroscience and all of this. And so it's quite involved.
It's interesting because when you're talking about secondhand information around out-of-body experiences, right? And not knowing if you can trust it. So I was reading your latest book review that you just did at the end of March. And so I'm not sure if I can say you have it on your website. So I'm going to say what the book is. It's called Astral Voyages, and it's by Dr. Bruce Goldberg. And you gave the pros and cons to reading that book. And I was reading through it and I thought, it's interesting that you say this about the secondhand experiences, because there's a lot of the things that you would consider cons in his book that don't line up with anything you have experienced or heard of people experiencing in their own out-of-body experiences. So it's interesting how one person can have completely different experiences, whether they're out-of-body experiences or not. We wouldn't actually know. We just have to trust him and what he says. Right, but interesting that you're talking about that too, because I'm like, oh yeah, you just wrote about that in your blog too. And he had some very good points too that you pointed out in your book review too. So I don't want to just point out the what you consider the cons, but interesting about the secondhand experience idea.
Yeah, and I think Dr. Goldberg has had some out-of-body experiences, probably not as many as a lot of the authors out there. But I mean, when I'm reading a book on out-of-body experiences, the first question I always ask is, are they speaking from experience or are they speaking from knowledge, book knowledge, or secondhand experience or whatever? Because I don't tend to give a lot of credibility to people with secondhand knowledge. Now, Dr. Bruce Goldberg is probably a different kind of animal because he's hypnotized thousands of people and guided them through out-of-body experiences. And I mean, he's a professional hypnotist, so he has direct knowledge that way. Unlike, I've read some books that read like somebody just went into ChatGPT and typed in a bunch of questions of tell me about astral projection kind of thing, and from different angles, and they compiled it into a book and sent it out there. I mean, it's so easy now to gather a bunch of information and just put it out there in a book and hire somebody to do a really fancy, nice cover or whatever. And people go out on Amazon and they don't know if it's good or bad, or
Right.
you know, how much can you trust that, what they're saying? And so that's the first question I always ask is, are they coming from experience, personal experience? And I think if you look at all of the best books that are out there, like Michael Raduga's The Phase, or Robert Monroe's Journeys Out of the Body, or William Buhlman's Adventures Beyond the Body, these books, I mean, they're speaking from direct experience. So and those line up pretty well. I mean, they experience the same things that I did. And I mean, there's a world of difference. So yeah, it lends to the credibility of the book. And anyone can throw a bunch of information out there and take your money for it, but people are not going to be happy if they're getting a bunch of misinformation. And as a personal experiencer, I like to do book reviews, and some people say, oh, you know, how can you do that? You know, you're talking about other authors. Isn't that disrespectful, whatever? But I think it gives me a lot of insight, and I can provide that insight to other people who, they go out to Amazon and they see this book advertised or whatever, and gee, should I buy it? And I say, go find it on my blog and in my book reviews, right? My website, robertpeterson.org, and you can get a list of all the book reviews I've done, alphabetical by author, and you can look at that book and in the review, if I've done the review of it, and you can see what I have to say about the book. And how, you know, a lot of times I'll compare it to my own personal experiences too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten a lot of feedback that that's valuable to people out there. So
I agree, because I mean, if someone wants to read your book review and then they can see where maybe your ideas or experiences differ from theirs, but they could take that with a grain of salt and go, you know what, I'm still interested because some of this sounds interesting. I want to read it anyway, you know, so people can still make up their own mind.
Yeah, and a lot of books have good and bad, like you said. And I try to present the bad first and then the good, because I like to end on a positive note, because I want to give people a fair shake. And I've actually, kind of a funny story. There's a publisher in Germany named, I think his name is Jörg Starkmuth, something like that. And he's in Germany, and I probably didn't pronounce it well, but he always looks at my book reviews because he wants to publish. He translates these books from English into German and sells them in Germany. And he gives, of course, royalties to the authors and all of that. And he wants to know, of all these hundreds of books, which ones are worth translating, going through all the trouble of translating them, you know? And so that's a big help to him. So
cool. Mm-hmm. Well, there's quite a few questions in here. We had one from Cryptovania TV is asking, is there a connection between the inner ear and OBE? And I'm not sure what that means. So Bob, hopefully you do.
Well, actually, yeah, there is an inner ear technique. And I don't think I've got it in my Hacking the Out-of-Body Experience book. So it's going to have to go in the sequel. But yeah, there's actually an inner ear technique, and how it works is that some people, and I'm not sure scientists or doctors know quite why, but some people are able to manipulate the muscles and bones inside their ear, and your brain gets information from your ears, from your eyes, all over. And people are able to do this funny thing with their ears where they can make it sound funny, and they can kind of modulate their ears and what they're hearing, and they can make it do funny, you know, woo-woo sounds or whatever. And there's actually a technique where people who can do this, who have the physical capability, can do this to the point where they can generate a kind of a trance state and induce what they call the vibrations, which is a precursor to the out-of-body experience. And so, yeah, there's definitely a connection there.
Wow. But it sounds like it's not common.
No.
Yeah, it's not real common. There's a certain small percentage, maybe 5% of people out there. And I think if you go out to my blog, I think I've got a basically an inner ear technique out there somewhere on my blog. I've got my blog. I completely rewrote my website this year, and I kind of divided it up into different sections. But one of the sections is for out-of-body techniques, and it's probably in there. So
Cool. Okay. I'll have to check that out.
sorry, I keep drinking. I've got kind of
I have
thing.
to ask this.
Yeah.
It's that time of year. One of the things we've never talked about with out-of-body experiences is the dangers in doing them. Can you just kind of say what they are? I mean, I think it is a dangerous practice, and especially if you really don't know what you're doing,
Well, okay, that's a very deep subject. And how much time do you got?
9 minutes.
No, but I mean, it isn't like, yeah, no. But I mean, it isn't for the weak. Let's put it that way,
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of books will say, if you have psychological problems or whatever, don't attempt this. The thing is, when you're having an out-of-body experience, you're dealing with humankind's two biggest fears: fear of death and fear of the unknown. And when you leave your body and you see it lying there, you're thinking, gee, this is pretty close to death, because when I'm dead, I'm not going to be in that physical body anymore. And fear of the unknown, because you're in a different new world, and it's like, what else is out here? What kind of people are there? Mean people, good people? Are there creatures out there? You hear all this lore about demons and hags and different things like that. But the bottom line is that the biggest barrier to out-of-body experiences is the fear. And you have to learn to control your fear. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's basically subconscious mechanisms inside of everyone that keep them from going too far, keep them from doing something that they can't handle. So, for example, there's this thing that's well known, been documented for over 100 years, called the dweller on the threshold, or guardian of the threshold. And basically what that is, what I believe it is it's your own subconscious mind, and it tests you to make sure you're ready for an out-of-body experience. And it can do that. It can try and talk you out of having an out-of-body experience by presenting fearful things, or emergency things, whatever. Classic example is somebody leaves their body and immediately they hear a voice of their spouse, their husband, wife, whatever, or their mom, dad, and they're yelling, "Oh, the house is on fire," or something like this, or somebody's at the door, you got to get up. And they figure, oh shoot, just when I was about to leave my body, now I got to get up and handle this situation. And then they get back to their physical body and there's nothing there, no problem. So this is a psychological mechanism that's meant to protect you. It's meant to keep you inside your body until you're ready to calmly handle that fear. As for things that are out there to be afraid of, I'm convinced 99% of what's out there that's scary is self-generated. And again, it goes back to this dweller on the threshold, right? Because when you're, for example, in sleep paralysis, it's easy, if you know the trick, it's easy to leave your body from sleep paralysis. But in sleep paralysis, you're stuck halfway between the world of dreams, where you can easily change your environment, and it's very scary, because sleep paralysis, you're paralyzed, you don't have control, and you don't know what's going on, so you're scared. And when you're scared, your fearful thoughts can automatically generate monsters or demons or whatever, so you can perceive these things coming after you, and it's all nonsense. It's a test from the guardian of the threshold, your own subconscious. It's a test, and it's testing to make sure you can handle scary situations and brush them off. Like, if you get a scary situation like that, usually the best thing to do is say, nice try, I'm not buying it, and remain calm. Because the last thing you want to do is to be afraid. Now, having said that, I've seen some unsavory creatures. I mean, just like planet Earth, right? There are unsavory creatures out there. I've seen, slimy looking creatures crawling on the floor, kind of a thing. But After all of these years, I've been doing this since 1979. And after doing it all these years, I still do not believe in organized evil. There are definitely people out there, just like on planet Earth, who are out to scare you, out to, disturb you or have their fun with you, whatever. And they might have malicious intent, but it's not evil. I don't believe in evil. I don't believe in a devil. And I think if you go into any situation without fear, if you believe in yourself, believe in your ability to, believe that you're going to be protected, and you visualize a white light around you like you would in paranormal investigations. You can visualize a white light around you, and that is enough. Just the simple lack of fear is enough to drive these things away from you. In all the years I've been doing this, I've had probably less than 10 situations in an out-of-body experience where I felt unsafe, even remotely unsafe. All the other ones, hundreds and hundreds of out-of-body experiences where it was very beautiful and euphoric and just such incredible joy. I mean, lifting off the ground without the weight of your body and flying in the air. I mean, it's incredible. The euphoria is just amazing. And it's almost indescribable, but you can't let that fear stop you, because fear is the big barrier. And once you learn to get over that hurdle, you're not going to see these unsavory creatures or whatever. And if you do see something scary out there on the other side, all you got to do is simply think of your physical body, and you'll return to it. Just like that, you're back in your physical body. You can abort that experience very easily. And like I said, in about those 10 cases, that's exactly what I've done. It's like one time I left my body. I saw a crowd of people, dirty-looking people, and they were holding, pipes and wrenches and things like that, and pitchforks. And I thought they looked like they were ready to lynch me. And I just said, "Okay, I'm done," and I went back to my body, right? But I mean, those cases are so few; it's just not even worth talking about. I wouldn't let that stop anyone from having an out-of-body experience, because it's such a joyful experience, and so well worth it.
So, I mean, basically what you're saying is try it, because the odds of anything bad happening are slim to none most times.
Right, exactly. And I mean, there's a Facebook group, I think probably mentioned them last time, called Astral Projection Techniques on Facebook. And they have kind of they don't like fear mongering at all. I mean, if you go in there and say, "Oh, this is a dangerous practice," whatever, it's nonsense. I mean, they'll get booted right out of the group, because fear mongering like that and putting the fear into people is not helping. It's just spreading nonsense, basically. So the risks are they're far outweighed by the positive and the good that comes out of it. It's like ask any mother if they would discourage other mothers from having a baby because there's the pain of labor and all of that. I haven't heard a single one. It's like, the rewards far outweigh the risk. So anyway, that's my take.
Good. Go for it.
Yeah.
Bob says go for it. So we're going to go for it.
Go for it. Absolutely.
Okay, but my question is, isn't there a danger? And you're there, you're out of body, it's beautiful, euphoric, all these wonderful things that you've said. What if you decide to stay there and you don't come back to your body? I mean, I've heard that happening, right?
Okay, my personal belief is that you can't. One of my favorite quotes from a book is what was the author? Richard Bach, the guy who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull and Illusions and all of that. One of the quotes he had is, "Here's a test to find out if your mission on Earth is done." He says, "If you're alive, it's not done." And I believe strongly that we are put here on this earth, incarnated to learn lessons. We come here for spiritual growth, to learn about lessons, and almost every lesson is about love and how to manifest it and how to become more loving and to raise your vibrations and become closer to God, all of these things. we're on Earth to learn those things, and we have a higher self. And this higher self is often something that we don't even experience. I mean, you can experience it in an out-of-body state, but ordinarily, it's sitting back kind of watching things. And you can communicate with it, whatever, but I think that your higher self has a great control whether you live or die. I literally don't think you could kill yourself by trying to stay out. The problem in out-of-body experiences is not, it's staying out as long as you can, because eventually you'll get sucked back in your body, and I don't believe you have a choice in that.
Okay. Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
It does.
Totally. Well, I have to tell you, someday I'll tell you a story, Bob. And maybe I've already told you this. I won't do it today because it'll take a long time, but I'll have to tell you an out-of-body experience story that might be an exception to the rule, but I also don't know if it'd be considered an out-of-body experience in the way that we're talking about. So I'll have to tell that to you sometime, because I think you'd find it really interesting.
Oh, no, you can't leave me with a teaser like that, Heidi. Come on.
No, I'll save it for another show. We'll talk about it on another show.
Maybe you can write it into a book, and then I can do a book review.
Oh, there you go. I'll put it in my next book.
There you go.
Actually, it would be interesting to talk about.
Maybe we can get together in Minnesota this summer and have a picnic or something.
Yeah, that would be fun. That'd be fun to see you while you're up here.
That would be fun.
We'll have to connect on that for sure.
The gathering in real time.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? In person.
Yeah. Well, Bob, thanks for being on, and good luck to you on your journey back to Minnesota in a few weeks, and good luck finishing your book. You've got a lot going on down there. So, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
And if people want to find you, what is your website?
My website is robertpeterson.org, O-R-G. And yeah, it's on the screen, robertpeterson.org. And everything on there is free. The entire text of my first book, Out-of-Body Experiences, How to Have Them and What to Expect, is available to be read in English on my website if you follow all the links out there. So yeah, a lot of free information out there, including links to all my blog articles and all my book reviews and all that stuff. So it's good stuff out there.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is good stuff.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you, and we'll have you on the show again, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, of
and
course.
thank you to all.
Go ahead.
Thanks to everyone watching and listening on our podcast, IO only soon. And thank you to all our troops. Please be safe wherever you are, and thank you for your service.
And everybody in the chat room, thanks for joining us. And wherever you're watching our show, we appreciate you tuning in. And thank you to Cryptovania TV for hosting our show, and Jason Trost for producing our show. You are all awesome, and we are so glad to be here. So thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.